How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Jose, aka TheNYCGeek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord. Even in this bootleg Middle Earth, still your Elden Lord, aka the one who will sit the throne today, aka the guy who has just finished watching Rings of Power, episode 8 or season 1 finale. Oh man. Look, I've been very, very open and clear with my thoughts on the show. Many of us have. Many of us, true Tolkien fans have been, and even people who aren't like lore masters. And I am by no stretch of the imagination a lore master, not even close. But I know enough to know that this series has basically perverted Tolkien's established lore. It's driven off of a lot of, well, Tolkien never said this. Tolkien never explicitly said that this didn't happen, which is a lot of bullshit because you're not supposed to read canon by what wasn't said. Canon is by what is said. If you go by what wasn't said, then I could just say, well, Harry Potter was never, J.K. Rowling never said that Harry Potter wasn't a pimp who used to beat people. Like, no, you go with what's written, not by your own little head fan fiction. But anyway, we are going to be breaking down the finale of this lackluster, catastrophic disappointment after coming off of episode 7, where Galadriel and a bunch of people survived the volcanic explosion that should have destroyed the surrounding region, because I guess now Galadriel's volcano proof. Whatever. Just add everything you can to this, Mary Sue. Why not? So, I got to tell you, I want to be clear. I watched this episode and it was such a chore. I was actually going to wake up at 2:00 around 2:30, get myself ready, then watch the episode at 3. And I was like, man, I have no enthusiasm. Like there was nothing in me that wanted to do this. This is a labor unto itself, akin to Frodo carrying the ring. So we start off with bootleg Sauron. Oh no. We're here with bootleg Gandalf. I'm sorry. And they're in the Greenwood. Obviously, I can't show you guys the whole episode. I got to skip through it. But he's in the Greenwood and he's staring at the apple that Nori took like 3 minutes to give him last episode, and he starts chasing off this hooded figure, and the hooded figure is Lady Eminem. And it's not just Lady Eminem, it's Lady Eminem and her friends. And they declare, there she goes, here's the shape-shifting. And she does this a few times, right? And I gotta be honest, I have no idea who these characters are. I don't have any investment in any of these characters. I don't. It's just so hard to, the only character I mentioned, the only two that I actually could conceivably give a shit about or Durin and Disa. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're not even in the season finale. They're not here. No mention of them, no showing. Like the two characters that most of us agree that we're like, well, if they're on screen, we don't want to gouge our own eyes out. They're not even in the fucking season finale. You know what you do get? You get a lot of fucking Harfoots. And I know you guys love the Harfoots. You love them as much as one would love being punched in the face. So we go back to Lady Eminem, and she tells him, he's like, oh shit, gives him the apple. It's symbolic of a kind of like, the serpent offering the apple of knowledge kind of thing here. And they're like, we know who you are. You're Sauron. And they kneel to him. And we have no idea who these characters are. None. No idea. Who the fuck who are they? Where did they come from? If I do the fucking X-ray, are you gonna give me a little bit of info? No, nothing, because that's what this show is. This show is just fucking fan fiction. And the next scene we move on to is Galadriel fucking riding, and it's, oh my god, this is such, Galadriel in this show is such a departure from actual book Galadriel. No, she was never a commander. No, she never was this famed warrior who slew orcs, and she never took any any part in the battles of the first age or the second age. It's not hard. Look, Tolkien created amazing characters. You don't need to fucking rework them. You goddamn fucking hacks. But that's what they do. And she's been writing with Halbrand, who is, bootleg Sauron, and everybody. Listen, if you have not, I will, hold on, before I do continue with my point about Halbrand, I will say, as I've been saying before, I like some of these set pieces. I do like some of the set pieces, and the vistas. That's all the show has going for it. Is yes, these very nice shots, but there's no substance. It's gold plating. It's all fool's gold right here. And she's been writing with Halbrand, and they're going to the let me take off the X-ray. They're going to Linden, to the Elven lands of Linden, because he needs a healing, and Halbrand is hurt. Halbrand's been hurt, and he's been mortally wounded. And Celebrimbor here and Elrond are discussing how the stupid made-up Mithril plot is, how dumb this plot is. And I don't understand how, the affliction of the elves, how Mithril is supposed to save them. I get that they said that Mithril is, in here, in this world, it captured the light of the true trees, and that the elves, I guess the elves are solar batteries, and they're, they need to be recharged up. But we don't know what the affliction of the elves is. It just is just ghetto fantasy terms thrown around. And then, Galadriel shows up, and this is clearly the first time that Elrond has seen her. And he's like, what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be gone. Everybody wants you gone. And she's like, oh, I'm Galadriel, and don't worry about that shit. And by the way, heal my buddy here, who, if you are swerved somehow, if you have not figured out, there are going to be people. I know there's going to be people on Twitter who are legit going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that Halbrand was Sauron. If you didn't figure that out in the first fucking episode or whatever, whenever he was first introduced, you have to be sleepwatching this show, which I don't blame you if you are, because this show puts people to sleep all the time. And he asked her, let's go back to, they're discussing, they're asking him to help him. And Elrond asks her, how is it you're here? Right? How are you here? And then she, with great dialogue, responds back, how is it you're here? Galadriel has this problem, right? Where she kind of it's not just her. I'm not going to just dunk it on her, because it's throughout this entire show. But the dialogue here is just awful, right? But Galadriel has this thing where she kind of just repeats back things to you almost like a child. You have not seen what you have not seen what I have seen. I have seen enough. You have not seen what I've seen. How is it you're here? How is it you're here? There is a tempest coming. There is a tempest in me. She just repeats back things. And it's so infuriating. It just gives her this air she's supposed to be so much wiser that she can answer back to you the same question. It's not earned, and it's certainly not shown on the screen. Let's see what he goes. And then he, of course, Elrond telling Galadriel how right she is, how amazing she is, how he's missed her. And she tries to sound wise, but there is no wisdom in her tongue. And it reminds me, for all your words, what was it that the steward of I can't remember. I'll try to see if I can find the clip. If I do find the clip, I'll put it here. That the steward of Gondor tells Gandalf when he shows up to Minas Tirith. Then we just kind of sped forward, and here we go. Okay. So, Celebrimbor, and Halbrand. Now, obviously, this is supposed to be Anatar in the books, in the lore. He's not Anatar. He's he's not Halbrand. He's Anatar. He's that is one of Sauron's aliases, and that's how he infiltrates the Elven Smith the Elven lands, and even though Celebrimbor never trusted him, he does influence the other elves to start creating the rings. And that's when the elves create the ring that he puts that binding magic in them. Now, here it's Halbrand, right? And he's coming up to Celebrimbor, and they're talking about gems and just they're talking about how the problem that they need mithril. They need mithril, but they don't have enough. Don't have enough. And he starts talking to him about combining ores. About combining ores to better stretch it out. That wouldn't be suitable for this ore. Couldn't the right alloy also amplify those qualities? Are you telling me? You fucking telling me that Celebrimbor, this legendary elven smith, does not know how fucking metalsmithing and working and alloys work? Like, this is just, this dude's not that legendary. I mean, at least not in this fucking show, he's not that legendary, because even I, a novice at best, know simple things like that. Like combining different metals and ores to, produce finer ones. It's just, dude, what the fuck, man? This show has, I have to call everybody bootleg versions of themselves, because they are like the watered down versions of themselves. That's truly what it is. And we head back to, again, another bootleg spot, bootleg Numenor, where the king is dying, and, Pharazôn has to, they're talking about creating a tomb for him. We must grant him the immortality of in stone that no man, not even a king, can attain in life. Now, this is foreshadowing for those that don't know, and if you don't want to know, then I would suggest muting me for a few seconds. Pharazôn is going to be very much influenced also by Sauron. Many of the beings here are, and he is going to be swayed, seduced by the promise of immortality. That is why it's foreshadowing there. And this character in the books is supposed to be so fucking like such a beast that he goes to like fight the gods themselves, or the archangels rather, to attain immortality. So that's foreshadowing right there. And original character, because there's so many of them in this show. Original character, what's her name? Arian? Iarian? Oh my god, I can't pronounce this. And I don't, to be truthful, I don't care to. I don't care for this character enough. For any of these characters, any of them, I'm telling you, there is 1, 2 characters here that if I see them on screen, I'm like, all right, sure, leave them on there. Everybody else, you're just like, dude, this feels generic. How can you take Tolkien's works? How can you take Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's works, and which have inspired countless, and I do mean countless works out there, and make it feel generic? Isn't that like, I mean, if it wasn't, it's such an impressive feat. It truly is. But it's a feat that shouldn't be, rewarded or applauded in any shape or form. But I guess it just shows that these media companies, when you give them just an inch and they take a mile, and they just have so much, they have nothing in them but malice and greed, that they can take even the greatest of works and, much like Morgoth, corrupt it to just feel like nothing. Not that I'm saying that Tolkien's original works has been tarnished in any way. I'm just saying that this adaptation of it feels like it's nothing, like generic. Anyway, the king is here and he's fucking dying, and he grabs her hand, and I gotta see if I could get to this. Okay, the king is dying, right? He is like super near death. She leaves the room after he hears the stupid thing about our island will fall and our old people. Like, she leaves the room. He's coughing. Oh, I'm in pain. She goes out the room. I gotta pause it because, Amazon is ready. Amazon's ready to slap motherfuckers because, man, are they getting hammered from all sides. just like She-Hulk. Oh, pause. Let me pause that. Erin shouts. So Erin comes out. She leaves the room. She shouts for help. Okay. She comes back. It's the king help. She comes back into the room. This motherfucker is gone. He was dying. He was dying. He was on his deathbed. The man could barely move. And yet he was able to teleport. Because I shouldn't be surprised because everybody here can teleport in this show. So I don't know why I'm so shocked. But he teleported from that door, made it to his secret door over there, opened it. Just and if you're trying to give me, let me tell you something. This guy, I've been trying to think of a name. I know he's Tar Palantir, but everybody's like a bootleg version of themselves in the show. This is bootleg Viserys right here. You will never summon the energy of Big Daddy V the way that Viserys has. Like we don't care. She goes upstairs and she finds the Palantir. She pulls in and it's like, oh, remember this? You guys remember the movies, right? You remember these orbs? Oh. I just can't. You know what's sad is I can't even muster much rage for this show anymore. It has, especially after episode 6 and episode 7, where we saw Galadriel tank a fucking volcano. It just feels now like you just want to get this over. Like that's how I felt this entire finale. I'm like, just let's go. Hurry up. Hurry up. I want to be done with it. I want this over with because I know that thankfully you're not coming back. I think they said that they're pushing back production. It's not coming out in 23 or 24. I think the next season's supposed to come out in 2025. Maybe Amazon is legit like, oh shit, our show fucking sucks and everyone hates our show. We need to get more writers, better writers. I don't know. A man can hope, right? A man can dream. I know it's not going to be that. I know it's a fool's hope, but that's my hope is that we're going to get something even fucking close that maybe season 2 starts with somebody waking up and it's a fucking fever dream. And they're like, oh shit, man, whatever that was horrible. And then we get the actual second age. I doubt it, but I could take the small consolation prize of we're not going to get this show back for another few years. That's something. And then the High King Gil-galad is like, yo, you guys are plebs. You guys have been wasting my time. You're wasting my fucking time. Like we're wasting. We got a few weeks, a few months. I don't know. It's not consistent with how much time is passing here. And he's telling them we need because like I said, they're like solar batteries, the elves, and they need that tiny bit of mithril to save all of them. And then Gil-galad reminds them. He tells them that the trees, the great tree is dropping leaves like crazy. Like every day, ever since the mountain exploded, it's dropping leaves like crazy. And so I guess the elves are kind of like the beast from Beauty and the Beast. And if all the rose petals drop, that's it. It's over. They're going to fucking stay beast forever. I don't know. I'm adding in. This show is added in its own fucking headcanon and fan fiction. So I'm adding in my own. It can not possibly make the show any fucking worse. And then we get to where Celebrimbor says something right here. He says something right here, and this is what makes you're about to see Galadriel's about to be like, huh, right there. Not of the flesh, but over flesh. And that look at her face. You can't really tell, but this is supposed to be suspicion. I know it's hard because she has the same facial expression for everything. Joy, anger, suspicion, shock. It's the same fucking facial expression. I get it, but I'm telling you, that's what it is. She's like, oh shit, it's supposed to be shock because she's heard those words before. She's heard them and she confronts him like, hey, where did you hear those words? And he's like, she goes, was Halbrand with you? And he's like, no, those are my words. Like he's almost like confused. It's clear something's tampered with his head, and for those that don't remember, and again, I don't blame you for not remembering. She heard those same words from Adar. She heard Adar say that Sauron in episode 6 was working in something not of the flesh, but over the flesh to grant mastery over it. So now, even dumb Galadriel can finally put two and two together. You know, like finally her flesh, her brain rather, because I'm thinking still the line over the flesh. She finally starts to put two and two together that maybe the very obvious stranger you found on the raft and pushed as the king of the Southlands may not be all you think he is. And we go down to here and back to the king. And Elrond's asking for 3 months. He's like, just give me 3 months. If my show doesn't suck by then if my show still sucks by then you're free to cancel it, is what he's telling him. And Gil-galad's, all right, let me give you some time because what else do I got to do, right? So they start working on it and she's watching and Galadriel tells this elf, he tells him, find out everything you can about the Southlands. Scour the catacombs for that information, do everything you got to. I don't give a fuck. Go on the internet, find out what you got to do, but I need to know what this guy's lineage is. And then he starts talking to her, and of course, we got to listen, guys. We got to keep this seat. I know that this is, oh man, there are some people I know right now, like, oh, look at this forbidden love. This is supposed, and they hammer it in later. They do. They really make it blatant later. We must have, this is, never forget that this is what Galadriel's husband was killed for. That this is what he died for. Celeborn died for this. Celeborn died and got cucked so that, Halbrand and Galadriel can have this forbidden love CW fucking level of romance here. So he starts telling her, you saved me, you pushed me to farther than I was. And he kind of lets her know, like, I'm going to let everybody know. I told you, same facial expression. This woman, I'm sorry, but she just cannot pull this role off. Not that Galadriel, this is not Galadriel. Again, this is bootleg Galadriel, but she can't even pull bootleg Galadriel off. She doesn't have the gravitas for it. She doesn't command it. And especially the same fucking facial expression for everything. So anyway, Halbrand's like, I'm leaving. And the 3 sisters, I'm calling them the 3 sisters because I don't know what the fuck we should be calling them. They actually have a thing. They call them the Dweller is Lady M&M. This one is the Nomad. And then the other one is the Aesthetic. I'm calling them the 3 sisters. They're getting called that because I'm not fucking remembering each one of these. And they're trying, they want to convince, they truly think that he's Sauron. They think he's Sauron and they have to help him remember because he fell from the sky. And, he's like, he's like, I don't remember any of this stuff. And she's like, well, let me, they're like, look, we have the constellation, but we have to take you to the east. We have to take you to the east to know so that you can learn who you are. Where you will be known at last for who you truly are. And they say, because you can use magic and everything bends to you. And they're like, but he can't control his powers just yet, right? So they say, bind him for now until we can learn, until he can, we could take him back and help him remember who he is. But the bootleg hobbits are here. The ghetto hobbits have arrived and they got to save wannabe Gandalf, but tricked. They're tricked by fucking, ready? Boom. Lady M&M. Because she can do that shape-shifting stuff. And fake Frodo's like, oh no, what the fuck? She tries to get him. And he grabs him by the foot and then Toma gives him the fucking dagger right in the stomach. It's the most fucking accurate dagger throw I've ever seen. And they're slow. The hobbits are fighting. I am not going to show you this fucking fight scene. I'm not. First off, Amazon would fucking come here and fucking send a ninja after my ass. But there is a fight scene between Gandalf and and the three sisters and the hobbits. And the three sisters, like he does his hand slam because that's the only move this man does is the hand slam, right? But then because this show has to lean on the greater works of other projects, they have wait, I gotta get to it. They have Lady Eminem challenge bootleg Gandalf. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I think I skipped a scene here. Did I skip? No, I didn't skip it. It comes later. Because they still think he's Sauron. I keep those two names are so easy to fucking confuse. Sauron and Saruman. But here's the scene. So the Lady Eminem, she is the dweller. She's the dweller. That's what they call her. She ends up fighting with bootleg Gandalf here, okay? She ends up fighting with bootleg Gandalf. And here she has her staff, right? And she lifts him up with the staff. And like I said, this leans on the work of greater projects before it. It's all about remember berries with this show. Even repurposing lines like they were doing before. And just obviously casting characters that don't exist because they need, like the Harfoots. The Harfoots don't exist in this age. They're not a predecessor to Hobbit. They are a Hobbit clan. The Hobbits do not exist in this age. But because they need to tie it back everything to Fellowship and to the trilogies, Two Towers and Return of the King, they start doing like a staff kind of fight. Like this is like, oh, remember when Saruman was fucking up Gandalf with the staff? Remember that? Remember when he was throwing him around with the staff and making him levitate and bending him backwards just like this and throwing him into a wall? It's the same fuck. It's that. They're like, look, we do the same fucking shit all over again. And anyway, he's like, she starts fucking burning the place down, and I wish she would burn this fucking show to the ground. Because she seems to be the only one who has magic. She seems to be the only one who's really using magic, because one of them does nothing. The other, like, at least the dagger thrower throws daggers, but there's one there that she does nothing. And, you know, Nori comes to him and says, yo, take that staff. Take her staff. And right there, why don't they just kill these fucking hobbits? I don't get it. Why are they not just killing them right there? Instead of posing with them. And so right here, get to the scene. She gives fake Gandalf Lady Eminem's staff. She gives him Lady Eminem's staff, and then Lady Eminem, this is the scene where they're like, from shadow you came, and he starts chanting some words of power. From shadow you came, to shadow I bid you return. And here is where we get he is not Sauron. He is the other, the Istar. In other words, he is what we all have said from the fucking get-go. This is fucking Gandalf. It's supposed to be fucking Gandalf. And he's like, I'm good. That's what I am. I am good. And he fucking hits them, and he fucking, boom, exercises their asses. Look, we have said it this show has been so fucking predictable that from episode 1, everyone's been calling this is bootleg Gandalf. This is bootleg Sauron. We've known this already. This is not, it's not pulling you in anywhere. Anyone with 2 fucking brain cells should have figured this out ages ago. And he exercises them, and they win, and the older the guy who got the dagger in the gut, he dies, he passes away. It's just, and then we see the lone Numenorian ship. Because you know, there was a part of me that was wondering, I'm like, wait a minute. They still have all those troops and their horses and shit. Like, what happened to the other ships, right? But because how are they going to carry all that? But I forgot that the ships I forgot that these small ass baby ships can carry everything. They have you know, holds inside of them that work like a fucking TARDIS, and they don't have to worry about weight or space requirements or any of that. And we just get more fucking Elendil and Muriel talking about the loss of talking about loss. She's blind, and talking about duty. She's telling him like, why are you still doing this? And you know, it's just, we have to keep the struggle going. And when they finally get back to Numenor, they see, like, she asks him, Elendil, what's wrong? What do you see? What do your Elven eyes see? And it's the harbor is full of black flags, which means the king has lost. It's to signify the king has passed away. And we go right back to more of this fucking Halbrand and don't care. And they're still trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. Like, how can we make the rings work? But they are trying. He's like, we've exerted enough pressure. According to Celebrimbor, they've used enough pressure to fuse the heavens with earth. What the fuck does that even fucking mean? But and then, of course, Halbrand has to tell him how to do it right. He goes, Halbrand basically says, maybe you're an idiot and we've been doing it wrong. We should draw or coax them together. I am not a smith. I will never claim to be any type of a smith or craftsman or whatnot. I don't know if this is just random jargon that they're throwing together. I don't know. It just, all I know is that Celebrimbor here is made to look incompetent. And this, mind you, again, in the books, Celebrimbor, he's the one who creates the books, the rings, and he basically tells, he doesn't trust Anatar. The Elven smiths are swayed by him, but he doesn't trust Anatar. And we finally, after 8 episodes, get the confrontation that, I don't know, I guess people have been waiting for. We get the you know who I am, I know who you really are. And we finally get the confrontation that, you know, Galadriel's like, I know who the fuck you are. You're not the last man to bear your crest died over 1,000 years ago. And he comes up to her and he goes, I told you, I found it on a dead man. Like, he's like, I told you this shit. And then we get a little fucking battle. He's like, I've been around. Wait. Let me clarify. We get a little battle. It's not a battle, right? It's a mental battle. It's not a like, oh my God, we got a fight scene, because there's no action in this show. And again, and let me say, there's no action in the show, right? You know what's another show that doesn't have any action? House of the Dragon. But you know what the differences between those shows are? The slew of differences. House of the Dragon doesn't need action because it has fantastic characters. And those characters, you can weave their stories together and you give a shit about their dialogue. And because you're invested in those characters, you give a shit about that. You care about even the smallest things, like gestures and glances that they may share between each other. You don't have that here. So it's just boring. And what action they do have, as opposed to the action that does sparingly happen in House of the Dragon, even the action that's there is great. And the action here is just lackluster. And he tells her, he's like, yeah, I am. He's like, I had many names. I played you for a fool. And she's like, I'm Galadriel, and it's my same fucking face over and over. That should be my fucking thumbnail right there. That should be my fucking thumbnail. Just horror. I actually have a special thumbnail that I took over in at TwitchCon where I was flipping off the Rings of Power. Maybe I'll combine the two with this fucking face here. And she tries to stab him. He's like, get the fuck out of here. You're trying to stab me? Get your corny ass out of here. And he goes into her mind and he starts trying to sway her mind with being her brother. And she kind of falls for it a little bit. And then they go back to the raft. It's all, he's having all of these mental battles. Like he's in her head. He's Charles. But some of you might not know who the fuck that is, but that's a old I'm the Juggernaut bitch reference. But he's in her head. And here it is. Here's that, like I said, I told you that they need to keep that CW level. Here it goes. This is not what you believe. Do not tell me what I believe. She fucking repeats shit back like a fucking parrot. That's all she does. And they have this it's like he calms the waters so that she can see what they could be together. Oh, here's that CW level. Here's that CW level romance. Here it goes. We have to get I alone can see your greatness. Okay, we need this. This is what people, I remember that those buffoons that Amazon brought out, those super fans who have no idea what the fuck Lord of the Rings is. They've never read any of Tolkien's works. It's very clear. And I remember that one of them, they were all, oh, diversity, look how cool this is, inclusion, because that's all they cared about. That's all they gave a shit about. But I remember one of them being like, oh my God, I can imagine Sauron's gonna be a bad boy and they're gonna have to try to save him. Dude, this is not fucking Tolkien's works. Trying to make Sauron into this bad boy that, oh, can Galadriel save him? Can she turn him? It just, fuck. This forced romantic tension. Fair as the, oh. Here we go. Fair as the sea and the sun. Ready? Because he's trying to tempt her. As stronger than the foundations of the earth. Do you know what that reminds me of? It's so very distinct. And let me see if I can find the scene, because there is a the moment I heard that, I was like, that kind of reminds me of the movie Lord of the Rings. Not. Let's see if I can put this over here for you guys. Hold on. I'll get it over here for you, because this is stronger than the foundations of the earth, he says, right? Fairer than the sun and the sea. And it seems very familiar. It sounds kind of like this. When Frodo was trying to he wasn't tempting Galadriel with the ring. He's asking Galadriel if she can take the ring, if she could take the burden of the ring from him. And she's like, she's tempted by two. The sea, beautiful and terrible as the dawn, treacherous as the sea, and the foundations of the earth. Really? It's uncanny how they fucking go back to just a better product. They have to constantly keep dropping lines of a better product. And she goes, you, my king, the Dark Lord. And he's like, no, not dark, not with you at my side, because that's what she says. They, instead of a Dark Lord, they would have a queen. And did they show the together we can save Middle Earth? I think they already showed the image. They might have shown it. Oh, yeah. See, here's the image together of them together. Here we go. Ready? There's Sauron. See, Sauron. And then there's armor. There's the Galadriel from that shot. Down to the armor. Down to the dress and the armor. The breastplate. And she, whatever. She resists the temptation because, you know, she's going to fucking resist it. She puts this. Oh, no. This has got to be the thumbnail, right? This has got to be the thumbnail right here. And he's telling them, like, she's like, you need me. I should have left you at the sea. And he's trying to tell her, like, if you try to cast me out, or if you try to get rid of me, how are you going to be able to save the elves? Because the elves need their solar batteries. They need the mithril, and only I can help them with that. And he starts trying to continue to corrupt her, and she puts an angry face, the same fucking angry fucking, this same glance. Now she's in despair, right? Now she's sad. She's sad. She's crying, and she has the same fucking face over and over. Right there. That maybe I'll put that as it. And you will die because of me. Ah, what the fuck is happening? They're just screaming at each other. It's just, and then he starts, he because he's far stronger than her. He throws her into the water, and Elrond's like, she wakes up. He's gone. He fucked with her brain. She just passed out, and Elrond's like, dude, the fuck is wrong with you? Don't fucking stab me. And then he's trying to tell them, like, oh, and then we get here. We get to her basically solving it has to be her. Again, everything has to tie back to Galadriel. Everything that has to come back to Carandriel. Okay, and it's just she's the one who figures out that it has to be 3. They have to make 3 rings. Now, I still don't understand how 3 rings, how any rings, right, are going to somehow save the elves. That's the problem with having made up this stupid Mithril storyline. The rings of power were not created to save the fucking elves. They were created in an attempt to fucking sway for Sauron to hopefully seduce them into evil acts and to control them and influence them through the one ring. I don't get what the fuck 3 rings are gonna do to an entire race of fucking elves. Do they all show up and, like, is this like the mob? Do they show up and they kiss the ring and all of a sudden they're good? I don't fucking know what the point is of creating the rings of power here. And she tells them, we have to make 3 rings because 1 will always corrupt, 2 will divide. And then Celebrimbor is like, but 3, there is balance. And I mean, this is a lesson I've learned just from playing MMOs. You can't have 2 sides in an MMO because that one side's going to get imbalanced. You got to have 3 because that brings balance. So apparently they've been playing their MMOs. They know they got their rules down, and they make the ring. That's towards the end, and then we get another super long Harfoot segment because, again, for everybody's least favorite character, everybody's least favorite character is Carandriel, right? No, that's the least favorite character. But then the Harfoots are after that, and we get when does it start? 51 minutes and 4. You guys know I love clocking when exactly. And she has to sacrifice her fucking dagger because they need to get rid of that MacGuffin already. And you guys know I love clocking things, right? All right. It's 51 minutes and 44 seconds. 51 minutes and 44 seconds. Let me move my cup out of the way. 51:44. We get, still going, we get an almost 10-minute goodbye sequence of this is what the Harfoot scene right here is. Basically, bootleg Frodo is going to leave with bootleg Gandalf, and they're going to go on a journey together to go to find who he is, because now he's regained some more of his memory once he exorcised the 3 sisters, and the Harfoots are going to continue on their journey, and we get an almost 10 minutes of that, of the fucking Harfoots, no less. You couldn't have cut that in half and maybe given us a little bit of like Durin and Disa. What the fuck is happening with the dwarves? Nope. You got to get these. You got to get more Harfoots in. And we end, and I will, again, I will give the show praise where it deserves praise, because it only deserves it in one single place. And that's, look how beautiful this fucking landscape is. That's it. Look how great this like camera shot is. This is so fucking beautiful. Like the vistas are the visual stuff. Well, visual in terms of landscapes and set pieces, not visual in terms of costumes and armor, because those are horrendous. But the visuals in terms of the landscape, this is so pretty, man. Like, I'm not an outdoors person, but I would fucking visit that. I would go to see this, like those mountains off in the distance. That's the only thing this show does well. And then we get to the final scene of this episode. They are taking, let me get there. They took Galadriel's dagger because they need the purest silver and gold that they can find, which hers comes from, the Elven lands, the Undying lands. So they're like, we need to take yours. And they start smelting. They take this little bit of mithril and they pour it into the lava. It just looks like lava. They pour it into the molten gold and silver, and they start fashioning it into the rings. And it's this really complicated device. I don't know how. I will not opine and say that it's like it feels overly complicated, but it's like this whole kind of spinning thing. Because again, I don't know how rings are made. I don't know how any of this stuff is made. Maybe that's how they used to make it back then. But they pour it into this device, and it smelts down. And they get a little bit, and they pour it down into here. And then eventually we end with the gems that Halbrand was looking at before. And Elrond finds the scroll. He finds the scroll because Galadriel doesn't tell him about Sauron. She's keeping that quiet. Why? Because we need forced drama. But he looks and he finds this scroll and he knows. He's like, there's something wrong with it was Halbrand, because Halbrand all of a sudden fucking vanished. And then they create, finally, after 8 fucking episodes, we see the titular rings of power, at least 3 of the rings of power created. The Elven rings are fashioned. How are they going to make, are they creating the other 7 for the dwarves? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. That'll be something that we get at, that will get answered in 2025, I guess. And the last scene is here. The last scene is, and again, how these motherfuckers, everybody on this show's got some magic feet, right? Because it couldn't have taken that long to fucking forge those things, but there's no real telling of passing of time here. So maybe it's been weeks, maybe it's been months, I don't know. But somehow Halbrand teleports his ass all the way fucking Mordor, and we get this final shot of him being like, yeah, I fucking did it. No one saw me coming. No one knew. Now, he's going to have drama with Adar, because Adar hates him, and he tried to kill Adar. And we get this final shot. Mount Doom. Again, some people tried to say, oh, that's not Mordor, which we saw last week. It was confirmed that this is Mordor. Mount Doom, which, by the way, Mount Doom was created back in the fucking First Age by Melkor, okay? It was created by Morgoth. So it's been made. But not in this show. In this show, we needed a complicated fucking key that turns into an aqueduct to turn the river to do. So stupid. But it ends with that. It ends with Halbrand walking towards Mount Doom. And that's it. That is what has proven to be the most expensive blunder in television history. $1 billion went into this, guys. 250 to make to get the rights, and then however much, I think 500 million. Yeah, it was 500. I think it's 500 million for the show itself. So 250 for that, 500 million, another 250 probably in like marketing alone, and they have to buy out the shills and all these people to, people that call themselves Tolkien fans and Tolkien experts to sit down and say, oh yeah, we think it's great that they're perverting Tolkien's lore and changing everything, because that would be exactly what Tolkien would want. And I'm reminded very much of, like, again, you cannot, when you use canon, when you buy a property, right? You buy a property to use what's written. You can do some of that adaptations here and there. Like, look at Lord of the Ring, the trilogy. The trilogy, they took out certain things. They took out Tom Bombadil. They kind of, got rid of some ancillary characters, but the core of it was still Tolkien's work. So, because that's what you do when you get an IP. You get an IP so that you can basically tell the story that's already been written. It's the same way with what happened, and you do this with all other things. Sonic the Hedgehog, right? When they took the Sonic franchise and they were creating the movies, and they tried to make that horrible, nightmare-inducing Sonic model. People were like, why the fuck would you change how Sonic looks like when you have the rights to that, right? Why not just use what you have? And what did they do? They were like, you guys are right, we fucked up. We're going to make them look like Sonic again. It's why people get mad with, like, Halo. You have the rights to Halo. Why would you not just tell the story of Halo? The first game is right there. It's simple enough. Humans are fighting aliens. Aliens are winning. We have a super race of super soldiers. Let's go with that. And it's the same thing with this, right? Especially with Tolkien's works that have endured for so long and have, again, inspired countless writers to go out there and create their own worlds. It has created fantasy the way that we know it now. Okay. And you find that you can't follow the canon. You have to switch things around. You have to insert fan-made characters. You have to completely ruin established characters like Galadriel and the sort. It's insulting. It's lazy. This was $1 billion shit that's being flushed down the drain as we see it. And no amount of buying shill sites and trying to get the media to spin it for you is going to save that. Now, what can save it? Fire your team of writers and hire some competent writers, hire a couple actual Tolkien professors and scholars who will sit there and tell you, no, this makes no sense. Hey, this can work if you do this. Hey, this might maybe save this for another. That's what you need. You need an actual competent team of writers. And another thing, you know, people are like, oh, well, they got to compress the second age to, no, you don't have to compress shit. If we have seen, look, I know it's on a bigger scale, but we have clearly seen House of the Dragons do time jumps and do it well. Not do it well, do it incredibly. So you can do that. Recast actors if you have to. If House of the Dragons can do it, you can fucking do it too. And I know that the second age spans, I don't remember the exact numbers. It's many, it's thousands of years. But you can do that. You can tell the story. You can set up every season can be a set amount of time frame. And then if you have to jump forward to this thing and then jump forward. People can keep up with a good story. I assure you, your audiences are not idiots. That's the problem. Fans are not idiots. Consumers are. Consumers need everything. They're like children that need everything like cut into pieces for them. And then, you know, they need it force fed. They need you to do the little airplane. Here comes the Galadriel story. Open up. Like, they're morons. So when you fucking feed your story to them, then you're going to have to dumb it down. But if you had stuck to actually trying to tell a story for the fans, for the real Tolkien fans, you wouldn't have had to worry about time jumps and recasting actors because the fans would have been able to keep up. For fuck's sake, I remember when Game of Thrones started, and my friends who had never read the books, right? They had no idea what the fuck, but they were like, man, it's hard to keep up with stuff. Like, I can't remember, it's hard to keep up. And I'm like, I can get that because it's a lot of stuff thrown at you. But guess what? They were invested in the show. So by the second season, they were already knowing. They were like, oh yeah, that's that guy. They may not have remembered exact lineage, but they'd be like, oh, I remember that guy. That was the brother of that other guy. And you'd be like, yes, because when your fans give a shit, when you don't treat your fans like idiots and your fans are invested in the show, they will be like, oh, I'm going to rewatch that episode again. So I can remember what this character was called, what his name was, or who her name was. That's why I just say it's like Tolkien wrote amazing characters. He didn't need you guys to add them. And he weaved those stories together in the greatest fantasy epic that will ever touch our hearts. Okay? 100 years from now, if we haven't fucking died off yet as a species, 100 years from now, Tolkien's works will still be remembered. Hopefully this show will fucking be buried and thrown in a time capsule or something, or thrown in that landfill where they threw all the ET games that came out. Some of you might be too young to remember that. But this show butchered that. It took liberties that it certainly did not need to. It didn't earn them. And I will, as always, say, to me, this is just like She-Hulk. This is worse than She-Hulk because, Rings of Power is so much more, Tolkien's works are so much more integral to our pop culture and to me personally than She-Hulk is. But to me, it's like She-Hulk in the sense that it's another 0. This is a 0 out of 10 because you have taken the core of what was given to you and you've altered it fundamentally where it doesn't resemble the core anymore. I say it all the time. Look at Moon Knight, right? Moon Knight, I watched Moon Knight. I wasn't a big fan of Moon Knight, but I don't think it was the worst thing that had come out of Marvel. That was still Hawkeye. And then Miss Marvel and then eventually She-Hulk. But and even Kamala Khan, even the Miss Marvel story, it was not a 0. It was not a 0 because, and neither was Moon Knight, and neither was honestly Hawkeye. Hawkeye wasn't a 0. It was like a fucking 1. But why are those scores a 1 or a 2 or a 3? Why are they below average? Why are they awful? And why are they not zeros? Because at the main thing, a 0 means that you took the core of something and you radically altered it to where it is no longer recognizable to what it once was. They did that with She-Hulk when they radically altered Jennifer Walters to be nothing like the Jennifer Walters and She-Hulks of the comic. And they did it with Rings of Power when they took Tolkien's work and they radically altered it so that it doesn't feel anything like Tolkien's work. It doesn't resemble his work. It's not lore accurate. And instead, it just feels like generic fantasy volume A2679.3, which is filed under shit. That's what it feels like. So when you take something as epic and as cultural, like as much of a cultural landmark as fucking Lord of the Rings, like when you take a property like that and you can make it feel generic, you can make it feel lazy, you can make it feel uninspired. There's nothing there. You don't deserve anything higher than a 0. And the only solace that we can take is that this show won't be back for a few years. Thank God. Well, we got that. We have two things. That the show won't be back for a few years. So, whew. And 2, that we still have 2 more episodes of House of the Dragon to cleanse our palate and wipe away this horrible memory, at least for a little while. Do yourselves a favor. Don't watch this show. Don't watch this show. Save yourselves the time because this is hours of your life you'll never get back. Instead, go watch if you want superior fantasy, go watch House of the Dragons. A single episode of House of the Dragons is better than this entire season. Any episode. You can pick any episode of House of the Dragons, and it is better than this entire season. Okay? So do yourself a favor, save your time. Because I cannot even recommend hate watching this show. I can't. I cannot recommend it. So, and I wouldn't even be hate watching if it wasn't for doing the review and hopefully entertaining you guys and getting some kind of a glimmer of silver lining in the sense that I'm hopefully entertaining you guys by watching this. I wouldn't even watch the show. I would have watched the first episode and be like, I'm not wasting my fucking time with this. And do yourselves a favor. Don't do it to yourselves either. Anyway, this has been the NYC Geek. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit it right now. Hit it right now. Also, while you're at it, please consider hitting that like, that share button, that freaking bell so you can know when another video goes live. And leave a comment down below, especially down below, because this is gonna be a big this is a long video. I'm trying to keep doing these review breakdowns with you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying them. Let me know if you are. Let me know if you hated this. I know the last one we did on episode 6, there was like hundreds upon hundreds of comments. I do my absolute best to respond to every single one of those comments. You could go back to episode 6, my episode 6 review, because I wasn't here for episode 7. I did respond to almost every 90-something% of those comments. I do, because I always say, if you're gonna take the time to watch my content, I will absolutely take the time to sit down and go through those comments and try to respond to you, because it is the least that I can do. All right. And if you haven't already, please make sure to follow me over on twitch.tv/TheNYCGeek, where I do stream. Schedule. I don't want to give an exact schedule. I do try to stream like Mondays and Thursdays. I used to stream Sundays and Wednesdays, but that might be up in the air. I got to see. As well as follow me on that filthy cesspool. That is Twitter, because it's going to be bad. It was bad yesterday. It's going to be real bad today. And tomorrow I will be guest starring on the Renaissance Nerd. You have to check him out if you love Star Wars. He has a wealth of knowledge for Star Wars and other properties. I just was on his channel on Wednesday. We hit it off. It was fantastic. That he is going to be doing a cast with several other people. It's going to be a panel, and I'm going to be on it, which is going to be fun. It's going to be great to bounce off of other people. So check him out. Again, his name is The Renaissance Nerd. Check out his channel. And I thank you guys for sharing your time with me. It's always very precious. Please, 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 please stay safe. Take care of each other. And I will see you guys next time. Remember, check out the Renaissance Nerd tomorrow, I believe at 7 or 7:30. Check the channel out. They'll have the time there. You guys take care. I'll see you guys next time.